Hey people of VC, it's Andy Cloudy Milder. I thought I would have a crack at the Rock Scouts Metal Tag 2021. Um, Scott's take on the whole yearly tag thing, but with a metal twist, which is obviously right up my street. So 20 questions. I will I'll put a link to Scott's video so you can hear the man tell you all about the questions himself, and I will also put all the questions in the description below so you can join in if you so wish to. Right, let's jump straight in. I've lost my questions. Okay, first question was music that is spoiled by vocals. Now, I'm not a big fan of like black metal, death metal, those extreme metal genres, but I'm not going to come out and say that spoils the music, because it's the whole thing together and it is the sound. And it's just a style of music that I'm not that fond of. But one band I probably may not have liked a little bit more, and this is where I get the thumbs down every time I mention this band, and I'm ever so slightly critical of. I get it, people don't like it because it's a bit of a sin to say you don't like this band, but it's Striper. I have tried. I have given them a good go. I've got the first 4 or 5 albums. Why do I collect them if I don't like them? Well, I find them cheap, and I know I'm going to be able to move them on, and that's probably something that I may well do this year. I just find, is it Michael Sweet? I just find his vocals too sweet, too sickly sweet. A little bit choir boy metal for me. And that's not a downer on Christian metal at all. There's some great bands out there like Saint and Barren Cross and Neon Cross as well. They're all really good, but I just don't get the appeal of Striper and why people say they're a great metal band. But there we go. I've earned my thumbs down for the video. Let's move on. Number 2, an album that is let down by bad production. Now I struggle with a few of these questions in Vinyl Tag Metal Tag, because I don't really. I know nothing about making music. I can't play instruments. I can't sing, and it's very. It'd be shocking of me to tell somebody else that they're not doing a very good job, whether it be production or playing an instrument or what have you. But sometimes you hear a version of a song, you hear another version of the song, and you like one more than the other. And what can that be down to other than maybe the production? So I've opted for this one. Now, I may well have, in terms of what is better produced, this the wrong way around. I don't like the production on this album, but I love it on here. Now, Testament live at Eindhoven, 5-track EP. This was my introduction to Testament. I bought this pretty much when it came out, if not 87, then 1988, and this is my original copy. It's raw, it's gritty, it just sounds great, and it always just has such a good energy to it. I was delighted when this came out. This came out, I think, in 2018 on Atlantic. I think it's 2018. Yeah, 2018 on Nuclear Blast, sorry. And this is the original 5 tracks that were on Live in Eindhoven, which I believe was only originally introduced in the UK or Europe. And it's got sort of 9 tracks on here, plus an Alex Skolnick solo. But it just seems, everything just seems a little bit more subdued. The sound seems richer. It doesn't have that raw, in-your-face sound that I kind of want from Testament, or really got used to listening to in the original Live at Eindhoven EP. So music aficionados, people who know what they're talking about when it comes to production. Excuse me, got this crazy light down here. There we go. Try to soften down. Yeah, people that know what they're talking about when they put production will probably tell me that the newer version is much better produced. But if that's the case, then I prefer the production on the other one. Hence, I see it as bad production because it's brought it down. I don't know. A band that suffers from a weak member. Again, as I say, I who am I to say anybody is particularly weak? I know Lars Ulrich is the one that springs to mind, and a few people have used that so far. But you know what? Without Lars Ulrich, there wouldn't be Metallica. There wouldn't be, well, there probably would still be thrash metal, but not as we know it. Not with the legacy that he basically, from his sort of DIY project and getting onto the Metal Blade comps, and just being sort of tenacious in his attitude to succeed at that early age, then the whole landscape would be very different. So I don't really want to shit on him, but yeah, he's the later Metallica stuff. It's clear that the band really didn't properly recover, I think, from Cliff Burton passing on. But yeah, so I found a band, and I think from this band, Colin Grigson was probably the person that let them down, and Bad News could have been much bigger if it wasn't for Colin here. Dynamite in the Bedroom, but severely lacking, and Bad News could have been so much more if Colin Grigson had been able to live up to his own legend in his mind. Question 4. Show an album that to you defines heavy. Pick 2 from 2 different styles, because I think from the music I listen to, there are 2 different styles of heavy. There's your standard heavy metal, thrash metal, that when you hear it and it's banging tune, gets you right in the head, and you can feel it. You can, every single wince and guitar squeal, every solo, it gets you in the fibre of your head, and I love that. And then there's really good doom metal that gets you in the gut, and get really you can feel it sort of down below in your diaphragm. So I picked 2 bands. From a doom point of view, I've picked Wretch. This is their self-titled album that I picked up when I saw them a few years ago. Love to see these guys again. In fact, I'd love to see any band again. But Wretch, really good. Feel it in the gut. Vibrating heaviness. And I just talked about Metallica, but Master of Puppets for me, this was, when I first heard this, probably around 86. I don't remember when it came out. I think I heard this around 86, 87 time. Yeah, this was, this took it to another level. I didn't like bands like Slayer back then. They were too raw and fast and heavy for me at the time. But when I heard Master of Puppets, that to me was like, whoa, that's heavy. So I've gone from a childhood memory of what's most heavy. Question 5. Show an album recommended to you by the music community. And this question has come up a number of times over the years, and I usually pick out the same album because it's a good album, and I just love talking about it. And this is by Irish band Stereo Nasty and Nasty by Nature. I have a feeling these guys are now defunct, which is a shame. But Nasty by Nature, I first heard about these guys from René Holsper Metal, and when I first heard it, I rushed out and bought the CD, and then 6 months later they brought out the album, so I rushed out and bought the vinyl. But to me, though, they are a bit of a one and done. They did have a follow-up album, but the follow-up album sounded very much like the leftovers from this one. But I do really, really like this album. So Stereo Nasty, Nasty by Nature, that was recommended to me by René Holsper Metal. Lucy? Show an album that takes your musical taste in a different direction. I've got a few here. As a metalhead teenager, I was all about the metal. Nothing else mattered until I heard Too Tough to Die by the Ramones, and that put me on a completely different path and made me kind of realise there was other music out there. It didn't just have to be metal. I could just enjoy any other music that was out there. So this was a really big album for me, and I discovered, and I now own multiple copies of most of the things from the Ramones on vinyl and CD. So yeah, definitely a turning point album for me. Another band is, I mentioned these a few times, is the wedding present. I like them a lot. Here I've got 3 OGs. Why do I have 3 OGs? Well, one of them I bought off eBay, and it turned out to be a bit of a clunker. The inner sleeve was missing, filthy as anything. In fact, I was so disgusted I haven't even cleaned it yet. Then I got did my usual trick of bidding on 2 separate auctions and winning them both. And I've got a 2014 repress and a 2019 repress as well on green. You will see on this channel, I know this is Metal Tag, but as I'm coming up to a significant birthday, I'm going to do a few extra different videos this year, talking about maybe some of my other music tastes, mainly to document it for my own nostalgic purposes, but maybe you'll find some of those interesting as well. And the other band that I've talked about that really took me in a different direction and got me more into, say, indie rock, alternative indie rock in the 90s was the Manic Street Preachers. And when I first heard Motown Junk, which is this 12-inch single, I was hooked and went on a different path for quite some time before returning back fully fledged to metal. This is probably my most expensive 12-inch single I've got in my collection, according to Discogs. Yeah, a band that I still love to this day, and they're from my home country of Wales. Number 7, a gem from your collection. This was actually really tough because there are so many you could pick, and a gem to me I took to be something that maybe others don't know and I should recommend. So I should grab this one. This is a band called Mirror, not quite as black metal-y as the logo suggests. Well, not the colour obviously, but the typeface. Mirror, I think they're Greek, traditional heavy metal band, but they're just a little bit different from bands trying to sound like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and really, really worth checking out if you have not heard them. They released a new album a year or 2 ago now, but this is definitely well worth checking out. Mirror, self-titled album. A band in your collection formed closest to where you live. I initially thought of Roommaster, but Bev stole them, and so I decided to showcase another Edinburgh-based band. That's Tantrum and Melt It Down. I think these guys need a break. They, after releasing this album, the singer has since moved on, and they are currently looking for another singer, which obviously can't be hard during the whole lockdown process. I really do hope they come back, and they come back strong, because they've got a lot of good energy and a lot of good ideas. It's traditional heavy metal, and this was their debut album from, it's on Diabolic Might Records. I think this was came out in 2018, maybe 2019, the vinyl version, but hoping 2021 brings them a new lead singer, and I get to see them again on the local circuit. Oh, excuse my nose. Number 9, a metal album you reach for melody-wise. Couple of obvious examples for me. One that was in my top 20 list of 2020. High Spirits, Hard to Stop. Fantastic melodic heavy metal album. Anything that these guys have done, if I want something that isn't going to rip my face off but is going to put me in a good mood, High Spirits spring to mind. Goodness me. Oh. And Magnum, another old favourite. This band has been with me for 30 plus years now, and I will get around to doing that Magnum video at some point. I promise. I've told people many times I'll be doing that, and I'll get there. I'll get around to it. There's 21 albums in their catalogue, and it's really hard, so consistent. But there we go. Magnum Chase the Dragon is an example here. Very good melodic metal. I wouldn't even say it's AOR, which I tend to think about melodic metal, which I don't really like that much. An album in your collection you would sell first. I went on a massive kick of saying that I was going to collect the first 100 Music for Nations albums. As the years have gone on, there are still a few Music for Nations albums that I really want to get, but I've come to realise that a lot of them in the first 100 are a bit naff. So I would probably sell a few of the Music for Nations records, and who knows, maybe even this year. Some of those Striper ones will probably go first. 2 thumbs down. There we go. What subgenre of metal would you delete from existence? I'm not going to delete any. I just avoid the ones that I don't like. Okay, I'm not a massive black metal, death metal fan. We all know that. But I have a few bands that are influenced by that in my collection. Things like new metal, pretty much anything that has core in it, apart from the hardcore. They don't really have a place in my collection, but people enjoy them. Why would I take someone else's fun away? So I'm going to sit on the fence on that one and not actually delete anything. I'm just going to ignore it completely. And move on to question 12. The band or artist you would most like to see an album or reissue from in 2021. I'm only really getting into buying reissues, which I talked about in a recent video, so I've not thought too highly about what I'd like to see a reissue from, but I'd love to see a new Anthrax album this year. I thought the last 2, Worship Music and For All Kings, were absolutely superb, brilliant. Some of the better ones of the big 4 recent releases. So yeah, I would love to see a new Anthrax album this year. I believe it's going to be on the cards, but whether it comes out this year with the restrictions and everything going on, who knows. Question 13, which 80s metal act would you love to see a comeback album from? Zodiac Mind Warp and The Love Reaction. I would love to see them do a full, no holds barred, sleazy, rocky, in your face comeback album where it's just full on debauchery and rockiness and raukiness and everything good that is in Zodiac Mind Warp and I love from the 80s. Come back, guys. All is forgiven. Number 14. Show an alternative variation of a cover. Oh, I forgot to pull this one. I've got best laid plans of no one. Okay, so I have got one album that has 3 versions of one album, and they've all got subtly different covers. Anthrax, Spread the Disease. Anthrax, Spread the Disease. And of course, Anthrax, Spread the Disease. Now, to the lay person out there, they all look fairly similar, don't they? And of course, the front cover it's a trick question. It's on the back cover. So they're all Music for Nations. They've all got the same catalogue number. They're all Music for Nations 62. This one has a Wee Island logo in the bottom left. This one, Music for Nations 62, does not have the island logo in the left. And this one has a dirty great barcode on it. But it does have the island logo on the left. They all have the same catalogue number, but they're not really alternative covers. I could come up with a better one than that. It's just a bit of fun. Trust. There we go. Yeah. Trust, Repression. This is Trust doing their second album, singing it in English. And here's the original version, Trust, Repression, where they all the songs are in French, sung in French. They are a French band, of course. Probably most famous for doing for writing Antisocial, that Anthrax play to death these days. Where do we go next? A band that defines heavy metal. It's got to be Iron Maiden for me. They're the band that got me into metal. and it makes a pretty damn good definition, if you ask me. Certainly 80s Maiden for 80s metal, which is my heyday. Your most metallic metal cover, got to be Anvil, isn't it? A record cover that shows metal being forged is pretty much the most metal album I can come up with. Hard and Heavy by Anvil. An album you disliked at first and I highly regard. Probably my favourite Ozzy album, really. No Rest for the Wicked. Again, this is I bought this when it came out. 87, 88 time. I can't read it. It's not that I don't have my glasses on, because I do, but it's white text across a really sort of like alligator skin style background. But I bought this because I thought I've got to get into Ozzy. Everybody likes Ozzy. I don't really like Ozzy. I didn't like it when it came out, and it wasn't till about 30 years later. In fact, 5 or 6 years ago, when I got a new record player and started going through my childhood collection again, I put it on and just thought, whoa, I really, really like this album, and I remember not liking it at all. So, Ozzy Osbourne, No Rest for the Wicked, an album you liked at first and now disregard. This next one, I played a lot when it came out, and has one of the catchiest tunes ever. And once you get in your head, you can't get out, and that's The Final Countdown by Europe. I just have no time for this album whatsoever anymore, but I'll never get rid of it because it is one of my original 80s teenage collections, so it's going to be with me to the death. Question 19, only 2 left. A metal band that deserves more recognition. Now, I've been on a big kick with this band, as has Darcy over at Six Strings Line Knives, and that's Gamma Bomb. Just picked up, this is the latest one I picked up, Speed Between the Lines. But I've also grabbed a couple of their extra CDs that were missing from my collection. Tales from the Grave in Space, and the Terror tapes. I've just ordered I found a vinyl copy of their first album as well yesterday, so delighted to finally have that in the collection. So I've now got the full collection of Gamma Bomb. Great UK speed metal. They're from Belfast, I believe, Gamma Bomb. Definitely worth checking out. They're kind of a breath of fresh air in the modern thrash world. They are the lyrics are very, very light-hearted, but they're not a comedy band at all. Light-hearted is a good thing in this day and age. Do check out Gamma Bomb. And my number one grail going into 2021, I don't really have anything too big. I've got to the stage now with my collection where, yes, there are grails, but the things that are probably unattainable, that you could wish for, but you probably won't get. I don't spend that much on vinyl anyway, but I would say if there was one thing I would like to add to my collection, bearing in mind I do have a number of copies of this album already, it would be a US Harvest first press of the first Iron Maiden album, because that would fit nicely in with the other copies that I have. I'll start working my way around the world then when I get a US one, but US one is probably the next press of that. I would love to get hold of a copy in my collection. So that's it, my 20 questions. I hope that wasn't too long for you. Great questions again, Scott. Absolutely fantastic stuff. I will leave a link to Scott's channel below. Do check him out and check out his original video for this. And I'll be back again soon with a video. Cheers.